One Zambia, one nation. Live from our Lusaka studios here at ZNBC on Ali King Carter Road with the news. My name is Collins Muyenga. The headlines. Special Assistant to the President for Projects Implementation and Monitoring Andrew Chela has taken a swipe at contractors for delaying to implement the 20% subcontract policy. The Ministry of Health has launched the construction of 2 mini hospitals in Munjuni and Kabango area of Central Province. First Lady Esther Lungu has appealed to parents to allow children complete their education. In sports news, Zambia are the champions of the 2019 COSAFA Senior Challenge after beating Botswana by a goal to nil. And now, the news in detail. A Special Assistant to the President for Projects Implementation and Monitoring Andrew Chela has taken a swipe on contractors for delaying to implement the 20% subcontract policy to the local contractors. Yesterday, Mr. Chela took to task the contractor working on the Kafulafuta Dam to account for the 20% subcontract policy to the local contractors. Mino Avic International has started giving out subcontracts to local contractors as per government 20% local empowerment policy. Let's get the details in the following report.
He was on a week-long Copperbelt tour of duty. His mission was to ensure contractors implement the presidential directive to give 20% to local contractors. At Kafuvu Water and Storage, the meeting yielded no fruitful results. But government could not allow subcontractors to get a raw deal.
If you are going to build 10 houses, and each house is costing 2 kwacha, 2 houses. 2 houses must go to the local contractor. That's what it means. At 2 kwacha. At 2 kwacha. And if you are going to say that when it's a local contractor building those houses, the house must become 1 kwacha 20. Then it creates a problem. The amounts are already there. Just give them.
At Avic International, however, all was in place as the company signed out some contracts.
Has been waiting for a long time. We are going to sign $12.4 million.
For government, this will change the economy of the Copperbelt.
My plea to Avic is that you do it very quickly, we need to know very quickly, and maybe in the shortest possible time we should be able to come back and sign the list.
What we want to say is to simply empower the local people, and there must be no resistance from anybody. I am excited that today we are signing. Government
is happy with this development.
The idea mainly is to spread the works across a cross-section of subcontractors, especially those grade 6, grade 5, where the law ends, who can be uplifted to higher grades.
President Edgar Lungu recently directed contractors on the Copperbelt to implement the 20% empowerment policy to local contractors. Wamundira Chilinda, ZNBC News in Ndola.
And our government says the investment of $360 million at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport will help to revamp the economy. And Works and Supply Minister Mutotwe Kafwaya is satisfied that the works to construct the hotel, passengers terminal, presidential pavilion and the shopping mall are going on well. Patricia Banda now gives us the details in the following report when Mr. Kafa was speaking after inspected the progress of the works at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport by the contractor China Jiangxi in Lusaka.
These are construction works coming up in the $360 million infrastructure investment. They include a new Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, a hotel and shopping mall. Others are the Presidential Pavilion and the Zambia National Airports Corporation Limited offices. Works and Supply Minister Mutotwe Kafwaya and his entourage have visited the sites to check how works are progressing.
This investment is certainly for the future. I've had a chance, to look at the underlying obligations, 360 million United States dollars. You just have to come and marry with what is on the ground.
The KK International Airport is expected to attract about 4 million passengers by 2030 once it is fully operational. The contractor China Jiangxi is now putting up modern facilities in line with modern technology in the aviation industry. Government is projecting more jobs to be created from these modern facilities.
It is these buildings that are going to help us stimulate the economy so that we can create the jobs the Zambian people so badly need.
China Jiangxi Deputy Contracts Manager Feo Rao says construction of these facilities now stands at 83%. An addition of $20 million substation will be put up by this contractor.
We have already started the design and started the preparation works on site. So we are ready to start the work at any time. Once we receive the money from the government, we would start the project.
Government will also upgrade the old airport terminals before these facilities are handed over. Patricia Banda, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
President Edgar Lungu is next month set to officiate at the pass-out of 942 correctional service recruits in Kaoma district of Western Province, the largest number in the history of the service. And Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo says the new staff will contribute to lessening the warder inmate ratio, which is key in implementing the correctional services mandate of reforming inmates. Brian Moale now reports.
These are facilities that were once home to over 6,000 Namibian fighters who trained under SWAPO fighting for their country's independence. Located in rural Kaoma district of Western Province, Nyango, which had become a shell of itself following years of abandonment, is now getting a new lease of life as a training center for the Zambia Correctional Service. Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo has toured the facility, said to offload 942 recruits next month, the highest number in history.
Those that will be managing offenders going forward will have acquired new skills, and so we expect this to be our school of excellence in terms of training our correctional service officers. We have one in Kabwe, which will be turned into an in-service training facility.
His mission was to check on preparedness of the pass-out parade for recruits, as President Edgar Lungu, being Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, will grace the historical occasion.
My coming also is to see how much the correctional service is prepared to send off these young men and women who have been going under training, how ready they are, so that the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Mr. Edgar Lungu, can then come and send them into the field.
For Correctional Service Commissioner General Chisela Chileshe, the recruits are ready for duty, a step closer to addressing staffing levels.
This number will definitely, have a very big significance or impact, positive impact in our service. We are so grateful that this is the first time that all our recruits have been put on payroll.
The service has procured equipment as part of renovations, with recruits making their own bunker beds. Brian Moale, ZNBC News, Kaoma.
Now, Cabinet has approved the Tourism Master Plan. Tourism and Arts Minister Charles Banda has since thanked the European Union, EU, for supporting the ministry in coming up with a master plan. Speaking during a meeting with the EU ambassador to Zambia, Alessandro Marian, Dr. Banda said President Edgar Lungu is grateful for accepting the component of the Presidential Tourism Council, which is going to chair. And Mr. Marian has pledged continued support to the ministry by the EU to make the master plan a reality, considering.
It's actually a very, very important step for us as we try to reposition tourism as an economic sector in Zambia. The components in the tourism master plan have been taken on board, We are very happy that His Excellency the President, Mr. Edgar Chagwalungu, has accepted the component of the Presidential Tourism Council, which he is going to chair. And because he is going to chair that council, it means that all the stakeholder ministries will have to take instructions from somewhere.
The tourism industry stands out as one of the most promising ones. Now, one of your colleagues in cabinet, and I will not reveal the name, one day during a discussion told me, Ambassador, let's agree on something. Let's agree that the word's potential become the P word. So I don't want to repeat what you know perfectly well, that the potential of the industry, of the tourism industry, is enormous. I think that for a partner like the European Union, which is a 360-degree partner of the government of Zambia and the people of Zambia, we have to assist you to make this a reality.
Mushindamu District Commissioner Emmanuel Chihili has appealed to government to construct passable road to the source of the Kafue River. Speaking when he and a team of government officials toured the source of the Kafue River, Mr. Chihili said the Kafue River provides numerous benefits to the people across the country. Details in the following report.
The journey to find the source of the Kafue River takes approximately 8 hours from Mushindamu District Administration offices. These officers, led by Mushindamu District Commissioner Emmanuel Chihili, had to pass through the Democratic Republic of Congo to see where one of Zambia's longest river emanates from. It was a journey filled with many challenges, but these officers could not give it up as the source of the Kafue River could be a possible tourism destination the district is showcasing in the coming Expo, Northwest Zambia.
Like as one source for two rivers. One is Kafue River that goes through Congo, Lubumbashi. The other one is Luenge, which is Kafue River in Zambia. But the area where we are is all Zambian side. So we've got one source but two rivers.
Known as the Luenge River in this part of the country, traditional leadership is aware of the need to preserve this national heritage.
As you may know, Kafue River is the longest river in Zambia. And a lot of people just see it from the Copper Belt, the Kafue Flats, but they don't know the source of the Kafue River. You'll find a lot of tourists coming to come and see the source of the Kafue River. And that will bring us a lot of forex. And that money will be invested in other areas, in our chiefdom.
The site is also source of yet another river known as Kafubu that runs from Mushindamu into Congo and back in Zambia through Luapula province.
Kuyaga mapotaje yabo na mamashamba yabo bote bale bangamba Kongo bana kuyaka kutumikia huko. Bonjo banaiwa kudiferensie kabisa mwanzo ya hii mutoni na mwanzo ya Kafubu. Kufatana na vile bankambo abo barabacha bakuwa natumikia kama zamani.
The Kafue River is the most industrialized river in Zambia. However, very few people know of its source. Reporting for Zanis in Mushindamu District, Chisandi Mwenge.
Mines Minister Richard Musukwa has urged miners in Chililabombwe and Chingola to be patient as government looks for a suitable investor to run the mines. Mr. Musukwa says that government has no plans of nationalizing the mines. He was speaking during a meeting with the miners and Chililabombwe residents. Here is a report.
We want to guarantee our investors in terms of one, security of tenure of licenses, two, run and operate a fiscal regime that is simple, predictable, and promoting investment. But at the same time, we want to assure you that we would like to share the cake with you, with the people of Zambia that can support development, such as infrastructure, especially education, health, and the roads. So this can only be attained by ensuring that we get maximum revenue from the mining industry.
You're watching ZNBC's main news, and just now we take our first break. We'll be back on the other side with more stories. Keep watching. Thank you so much for still staying with us. We continue with the news. Now, the Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA has vowed to collect taxes highlighted in the Financial Intelligence Center Once the report is handed to the authority. ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Topsy Sikalinda says the authority is mandated to collect taxes and will await the final details of the report. Mr. Sikalinda said this in an interview today.
In the recent few days, we have received a number of press queries related to the FIC report that has been published, and we must note that in the report a number of issues have been highlighted. As an authority, our mandate is to collect these taxes, and so far we can confirm that we've only received the very copy that is circulating elsewhere, but the fine report with all the fine details, we have not yet received it. We are waiting for the final report, and once we get all the details in that report when it's given to us, then we will be able to follow up on these matters and ensure that we collect the taxes if they are collectible.
Meanwhile, political analyst Chris Zimba has called for the restructuring of the Financial Intelligence Center. Mr. Zimba says the center should be turned into a department under the Drug Enforcement Commission. He says in its current form, FIC seems to undermine the work of the investigative agencies. Mr. Zimba told ZNBC News that unlike the Auditor General's report, the FIC report is purely a rumor-mongering tool which does not have facts. He said the FIC report should name and shame the culprit like the Auditor General if it's to be of relevance to the governance of the country. Mr. Zimba said what is disappointing is that unsuspecting members of the public may end up believing the unsubstantiated rumors in its report. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya says government is making progress in reducing the distances that people cover to access health services. Dr. Chilufya says this is being done through the construction of mini hospitals and clinics across the country. He said this during the launch of the construction of 2 mini hospitals in Munjuni and Kabangwe areas of Katuba. He said President Edgar Lungu has honored his promise to build 2 mini hospitals for the people of Katua. Let's get the details in the following report.
This signifies the commencement of the construction of the 2 mini hospitals in Kabangwe and Mujuni of Katuba area in Central Province. The 40-bed capacity hospitals are part of the 108 hospitals that are being constructed at the cost of $300 million United States dollars across the country. These facilities have been budgeted for under the Ministry of Health. When completed, the facilities are expected to reduce the distance that people cover to access health services.
The mandate of the PF government, led by His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu, is to provide social services. This is the mandate you elected us for. So today we are living in the season of development.
And Chieftainess Mungule thanked government for the gesture. The traditional leader said this through a representative, Gaston Kapopo.
Now with this facility that we have given us, I think this is a God blessing. We are also blessing His Excellency Edgar Chagwa-Lungu. You can send this message that all the people, all the headmen, including the chieftainess, are behind him.
And Central Province Permanent Secretary Bernard Chomba thanked government for building the mini hospitals, not only in Katuba but other parts of the province.
Something that we never dreamed of, today it has happened.
Once completed, the hospital will offer most of the specialized services, such as excellent maternity. Hector Simfukwe, ZNBC News, Central Province.
And the government has completed the construction of the Sakuwita Health Post in Livingstone. Sakuwita Neighborhood Health Committee Vice Chairperson Edward Mulobali says the clinic is one of the 650 the government is building across the country. Let's get the details in the following report.
Sakuwita Clinic, one of the 650 health posts the government has been building across the country, is now complete. And Sakuwita Neighborhood Health Committee Vice Chairperson Edward Mulobali is appealing to the Ministry of Health to open the facility as soon as possible.
We are expecting any time to be open. And the clinic itself is well maintained. All particulars, all good, like seats, beds, are already given to us here. But when time of weighing children, we always come and weigh just there outside the clinic on the veranda.
The residents too can't wait to access health services at their doorsteps.
Tenzovutika maningi kwenda kulinda, especially time ya rain season. Kai bridge kuja tiribi. So tionga siko mkuri clinic amene matretera. Pempa cheba isegure mwa musanga before rain season so that kapena zapurumuka.
Kitaonga ziko mpo tipangirako clinic pafupi because tenzovutika maningi pakuti muntu ngadwala kuno tupeze kati paka mpeleke kulinda machembele watu sipenzenda mushe bakuti paka kunyamula kushita bwanji mantinja hapa ni pafupi taonga zikomo maningi.
Sakubita Health Post is the second to be completed this year in Shungu Ward, which has had no clinic since its establishment many years ago. Justin Akaklubelwa, ZNBC News, Livingston.
And just now we take another break, and up ahead we have safety news. Keep watching, we'll be back on the other side. Northern Province Minister Brian Munduwile has observed that consuming unsafe food has contributed to the rise in non-communicable diseases. Mr. Munduwile, who is also Mporokoso Member of Parliament, noted that diseases such as hypertension and diabetes have become common due to the food which is harmful to human health. He said this when he graced an awareness campaign on food safety. More in the following report.
The quality of food is significant in shaping the health and functionality of the body. This is because food which is contaminated or unsafe poses a serious health threat to one's life. It is against this premise that authorities in Mporokoso district have decided to conduct an awareness campaign on food safety.
We are inspecting the foodstuffs, we are inspecting the food premises to ensure that their food premises are okay and they are complying to the law in terms of food standards. Sometimes it becomes a challenge, especially with those who are ignorant about food safety, but with Mporokoso district, we have tried our level best to ensure that the information is disseminated.
And Northern Province Minister Brian Munduwile, who is also Mporokoso Area Member of Parliament, says food safety is everyone's responsibility.
Mporokoso district has recorded at least 16 cases of food poisoning between 1st January 2019 to 1st June 2019. Furthermore, the district through the Public Health Department have seized over 120 foodstuffs from different trading shops and restaurants for violating the Food and Drugs Act, Cap 303 of the laws of Zambia. This picture calls for teamwork and that we can do better together as residents or members of this community.
Mumba for Zanis in Mporokoso.
And that's just about it for Surf News. Join us for more Surf News next week for another update. Thank you so much for watching. First Lady Esther Lungu has appealed to parents to allow children complete school and help government and stakeholders in the fight to end early marriages and teenager pregnancies. The First Lady was speaking in an interview with ZNBC News in Chiawa. Details in the following report.
First Lady Esther Lungu has expressed concern with parents who are still marrying off their children and withdrawing them from school. During an interview with ZNBC, Mrs. Lungu made an appeal to parents.
Surely this is being done for the good of the families, for the good of the children themselves. When they are withdrawn, it doesn't mean the chief wants to make himself a name, but it's because the chief expects that child to grow up and become self-sustainable, attain higher levels of education, contribute towards the development of the nation.
She has also called for certain traditional practices making young girls vulnerable to men and escalating gender-based violence to be abolished.
And we are now fighting these traditional values that will make the girl child especially become vulnerable to men after going through the process. We are now saying let's change these traditional values.
And later, Mrs. Lungu took a familiarization tour of Chakanaka investment in Chiawa. The First Lady conducted a tour of this banana plantation for purposes of replicating the concept with women groups supported through the Esther Lungu Foundation Trust.
You are empowering our people, you are feeding our people, you have created jobs, we have created the skill for our people.
Chakanaka Investment Director Jerry Cabin said over 200 Zambians have been employed. Etambuyu Katota, ZNBC News, Chiawa.
General Education Minister David Mabumba has directed all schools in both Chifunabuli and Samfya district in Wapula province to immediately reduce school fees. ZNBC's Mushota Mpundu reports that Mr. Mabumba was told by schools of cheering learners from various schools in both Samfya and Chifunabuli districts during an interactive meeting that some schools have not reduced fees. Here is a report.
They are in a joyful mood, and the reason is this directive. Some schools in Chifunabuli and Samfya district have not yet reduced user fees, prompting General Education Minister David Mabumba to make this directive.
So, and I hope
Mr. Mabumba also clarified the issue of grade 9 external examinations. The pupils are full of praise to government.
Some of our parents, they failed to manage to pay our school fees, but now that they have reduced it, many people will come at this school.
The reduction of school fees will bring more pupils and will increase the amount of pupils, which will bring more leaders in future.
The minister later went to Samfya district to address teachers and urged them to sensitize parents on the importance of paying school fees. Mshota Mpundu, ZNBC News in Samfya.
Electoral Commission of Zambia Commissioner Emily Sikazwe has advanced women serving different positions and various teachers to consider vying for political positions. Mrs. Sikazwe says women are key stakeholders in national development and can make good leaders because they know the challenges that their fellow women and children face. She said this in Lusaka during the United Church of Zambia UCZ Trinity Congregation Women Christian Fellowship Thanksgiving service, and Minister in charge Reverend Emmanuel Walia challenged women to become proactive and contribute to the growth of the Zambian economy.
Begin participating in other leadership spheres. In church, we know you do your best. You can plant churches. You are relevant to the communities. Continue doing so. But you can also participate in political spaces, in political parties of your choices, because you are God's light and you walk in the path of light. Can you imagine how that parliament would look like if hundreds of women of UCZ and other denominations filled that parliament?
You are here today because of his kindness. Who knew that one day I'll stand here and preach? Who knew that one day you'd be a member of the WCF? Who knew that one day you'd have your own home? Who knew that one day you'd have a family? Who knew that one day you'll be working class? Remember, God is worthy our thanks.
The Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation ZNBC has been awarded by the Lycumbi Cultural Association. The award is in recognition of ZNBC's commitment to support and uphold Zambia's tradition and cultural heritage. ZNBC Director Sales and Marketing Evans Muhanga received the award on behalf of the corporation. Rafael Ngimbu now gives us the details in the following report.
These are the famous Makishi dancers. They are the main dancers that Zambians are expected to see at the forthcoming 2019 Lycumbi traditional ceremony. The ceremony will be the closing activity during the 2019 Northwestern Exposition. Lycumbi National Chairperson Isaac Kanguya has called on the corporate world to support the ceremony and the expo.
It is for this reason that I want to urge the corporate world to find opportunities in ceremonies such as ours through their corporate social responsibility, especially this year when the Expo Northwest Zambia will end with the Lycumbi traditional ceremony.
Meanwhile, the Lycumbi Cultural Association has awarded Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, ZNBC, in recognition of its commitment to support and uphold Zambia's tradition and cultural heritage. Other corporate institutions that have been awarded include ZESCO, ZANACO, SIDCO, and Zambia National Service for their continued support to the traditional ceremony. Atlas Mara Managing Director James Coney was the guest of honor at the Lycumbi fundraising dinner.
In order to ensure that the expo and the ceremony are a great success, I'm pleased to say that Atlas Mara would like to pledge a sum of 100,000 kwacha towards the hosting of these two events.
This year's Lycumbi traditional ceremony will be held from 21st to 25th August. Rafael Ngimbu reporting in Lusaka.
And finally, in sports news, Zambia are the champions of the 2019 COSAFA Senior Challenge after they beat Botswana by a goal to nil, and the finals played in Durban, South Africa this afternoon. Zambia's win has added the number of COSAFA trophies to 5 since its inception in 1997. In a game of the two halves, Botswana dominated the first half but failed to convert any chances they created. However, Zambia, under the tutorage of former Chipolopolo defender Agri Chiangi, came breathing fire in the second half and won a number of chances with the support from the stands led by Pastor Peter Makembo. It was not by fluke that Zambia taught Botswana how to put the ball behind the net after some interchange of passes through Green Eagles topman Tapson Kaseva in the 77th minute. Zambia onwards managed the game, where they are by completely thwarting all the Zebras' kick to see the match finished 1-0. After the match, Zambia's standing coach Agri Chiangi said he was happy that his lads accounted themselves well, adding that he will keep the same squad for the CHAN qualifiers. Meanwhile, Botswana coach Mogomotsi Mpote congratulated Zambia for winning, saying his boys failed to score despite playing well. And man of the match Tapson Kaseva praised his colleagues for winning COSAFA. Meanwhile, Zambia's goalkeeper Sebastian Mwenge won the Golden Glove at the tournament. Andrew Kamanga has now won 4 trophies as France president. These are Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, COSAFA Under-17, COSAFA Under-20, and now the Senior COSAFA Cup. Here are some of the highlights of the game. Wow, congratulations to the Zambian national soccer team, and those were some of the highlights of the event. That brings us to the end of the main news, but before we go, let's take a quick look at the stories that made headlines. Special Assistant to the President for Projects Implementation and Monitoring, Andrew Chela, has taken a swipe at contractors for delaying to implement the 20% subcontract policy. The Ministry of Health has launched the construction of 2 mini hospitals in Munjuni and Kavangwe areas of Central Province. And First Lady Esther Lunga's appealed to parents to allow children complete their education. And in sports, Zambia are the champions of the 2019 COSAFA Senior Challenge after beating Botswana by a goal to nil. Wow, that wraps up the news. As we end the news, it's important to remember that I am a proud and patriotic Zambian. Keep watching ZNBC. It's bye for now. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Collins Mienga.